Welcome back to the Beyond Electric Sheep podcast. I'm Rick Thompson.
And I'm Ed Daniels.
Ed, we were just talking in our last episode about a rewrite of a book that you wrote 10 years ago and how you used Claude 3.5 Sonnet to help you get notes and improvements and make sure you had good continuity and so on. And some of the struggles to get it to do that right.
Yeah.
When we stopped recording, you said, I didn't even tell you about how it went with GPT-4o. I'd like to hear about that.
Yeah. It was at this point, I was so intrigued. You know, again, this was the book, which is up on Amazon, but don't buy it because I'm
don't buy it because
give you the new
it.
version.
Yeah.
And then here's the new version with a cover illustration that I put together using Midjourney.
Yeah.
And so as we sort of left the last episode, I was saying that I couldn't do it the easy way that I wanted. You know, just upload the book, tell it what I wanted to change, and come back with a new version. No way. Even Claude 3.5, which is super capable, could do that. So I ended up having to collaboratively with Claude develop a methodology to go through each chapter and to do what I wanted to do, review the characters, their ages and interactions, and review the technology and the technological innovations and make sure that they made sense both sequentially but also in terms of what would be possible actual evolutions of technology. So anyway, I did that with Claude. I got some good material, plenty of work for me to do doing the edits, which I might do. But then I said, well, gosh, okay, so this methodology finally worked well with Claude 3.5. Let's go back and try it with GPT-4o because, again,
that's where you had started originally.
I started there and I just got frustrated. A complete bomb, just would not work. And so, but I hadn't thought about this or sort of collaboratively come up with this chapter-by-chapter methodology. So I went back. Now I knew what I wanted to do, so I picked up. I wasn't able. The context window in 4o wasn't big enough for me to upload a whole bunch of additional material. It sort of got all it could, getting the 83,000 word text of the document plus a change table that I uploaded along with it. So anyway, GPT-4o, I said, so let's go chapter by chapter. Tell me about the characters, make sure they fit in chronologically. Tell me about the technologies. Tell me, about any anomalies or things that I'm going to need to fix in this. And so, great. Chapter 1, which happens to not have much of a technology change to it, didn't have a lot to say. It went through characters. It said the characters and all that, so it was definitely reading chapter 1. Chapter 2, now it starts feeding me the characters and the technology and saying, Ed, you're doing a wonderful job. This is really interesting technology. You are. It's just, amazing how insightful you are. And I go, wow, this is really good. This is really a great LLM, man. Give me chapter 2. Give me chapter 3. And then it's going, oh, man, this is so cool. This
I hate that
idea. You're coming up with this quadruped wildland firefighter. So wildland firefighters have to go out and we call it high-speed gardening because you're out there with a shovel and a specialized hoe and, fighting the fire that's going through the ground. Yeah. So I sort of imagined this quadruped robot that would have the ability to go in and dig a fire line, that kind of thing, and have maybe onboard water. Anyway, Ed, you're so brilliant. This is great technology, absolutely. And so it keeps going. Chapter 18. Now it's getting into the climax. The climax is in chapter 20. It's getting into chapter 19. Chapter 19. Ed, you're really building this up. The tension between the characters is really building. You're really working towards a great close in chapter 20. Okay. Tell me chapter 20. I'm really excited. I think it was midnight. Then I'm sitting down there interacting with GPT-4o to get the climactic chapter, and it goes, chapter 20, brilliant, just really great job. You really resolve the tension between the characters, and Tui, the humanoid robot, really understands. And I go, wait a minute. In chapter 20, this is a spoiler, so shut it off if you're going to read the book, but in chapter 20, the number 2 guy, the second main character in the whole book, gets killed in a fire. And he's discovered by the number 1 guy.
Okay.
But he goes, oh, yes, they've really resolved the tension between these characters, and they end up, with a much improved version of their relationship. Go, holy mackerel, wait a minute, has this thing been BSing me the entire time? What the heck is going on?
It was.
So then I said, wait a minute, what the heck? You didn't even read this. Tell me every single thing that happened in that chapter. And it start making up the stuff that happened in the chapter. This character talked to that character, and they, resolved their different.
Oh, wow.
No.
Wasn't even close.
I said, no. Okay. And on this page, this happened. Do you get that? Oh, yeah, okay. On this page, this happened. Do you get that? Okay. Now tell me what happened on the next 4 pages. And finally it went ahead and stepped through it or whatever. But it was, first of all, it sucked me in emotionally because I was so excited and it was telling me what a great author I was. And then it made up a bunch of stuff about what was happening in the book, which was totally unhelpful, of course, for what I wanted. Yeah. And then, finally I got it sort of straightened out. But by then I had just sort of lost my trust.
Yeah.
Anyway, pretty interesting.
It's really interesting.
And the differences 4o coming up with all this BS compared to Claude that was, I did have to jack it around, but eventually it came up with good stuff. Interesting.
I think it's interesting. You have to be really on your toes, and you have to be willing to reprompt. I use these every day. Often to summarize meeting transcripts and so on. And sometimes when I read the meeting summary, it just completely misunderstood something. It's kind of amazing that it does as well as it does. And I'll tell it, okay, rewrite that, but understand that so-and-so is actually the CEO of this company. Right. It apologizes and it does a great job. And usually after 1 or 2 of those, I get to where I want to be. But you can't just assume that it's nailed it. You really have to check. And I sort of hate the false praise. Don't do that. When I'm looking for feedback.
Right. I haven't done this because I never take the time to do it, but I almost want to tell it. Don't use the word delve.
Oh, yeah, you can do that. I have a list of words in mind that it's not allowed to use.
And don't, blow smoke up my skirt, whatever. Don't give me a false praise.
Don't do that because it often does that. Could you fix this email? Well, you really hit a great tone there. Here's a better way to do it.
Right.
You don't have to do that.
Right.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting. I'm sure, the companies that are producing these, the 2 we're talking about, Anthropic and OpenAI for Claude and ChatGPT, they're trying to figure out how to keep them safe and non-offensive. And it is such early days. It'll be interesting when we can actually tune the personality and be able to get it closer to what we need. A yes man is not that helpful when you're trying to do critical work.
Yep.
All right.
Definitely.
Great story.
Yeah.
Thanks.